Hey guys, in today's video, I'm going to show you how to set up a mix template. I'm going to show you how to set up busing for your tracks to make everything more manageable. And then I'm going to show you how that you can print these tracks as stems, and you can build this all into your template, make mixing a lot easier. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so here I have tracks set up for you. I've got a master fader, I've got some drums here, I've got some bass, some piano and keys, I've got some vocals, I've got some stacked vocals, which I do a lot, and then I've got reverb returns, okay? Now right now there's no audio on these tracks, but we won't need audio for us to set this up, okay? First of all, let's clean this up. I'm not using any inserts right now, but I'm going to get rid of these by holding Option, clicking on the header, and now I've got one set of inserts, one set of sends, okay? So these sends are what we're going to be working with mostly today, okay? So first of all, let's go to Setup, and let's go to I/O. Now this is a clean setup here. I'm going to go to Bus, and I'm going to create some buses. Let's go let's create some buses. So let's create mostly stereo buses here, because when we're setting up buses to send things through, you want them to be stereo so that whatever you're panning, if you're panning it left, the bus will reflect that. This will be more understandable as we get a little later in this tutorial. Okay, so let's go ahead and create, I don't know, let's create 16 stereo buses right now. Okay, actually let's go ahead and create more than that. Let's create 24 stereo buses. Okay, and yeah, let's leave that like that. I'm not going to create a subpath right now. What this will do is it will create a stereo bus, and then underneath it will create the left bus for that stereo, and then the right bus for that stereo. There's no need to do that for now, so let's hit create. Okay, so we had buses already set up, but these are going to start here, okay? These are the ones that don't have, this is an example of the sub buses, okay? So we've got bus 23, bus 24. We don't are going to need that right now. So right now I'm just going to rename these to the groups that I want, okay? So I'm going to create an instrumental stem or an instrument stem, and I'm going to do like master stems in all caps. So we've got a Vox stem or a vocals, let's call it vocals. So now we've got two master where we've got instrumental vocals. Let's go ahead and create a mix stem also. And I can actually drag these up in any order we want. So now as I'm thinking about instruments, let's move this down here for now. So as I'm thinking about instruments, I'm thinking about drums. And I'm not doing all caps on this one because it's just a visual indicator to me whether what the hierarchy is, okay? So we're going to do drums, we're going to do guitars, we'll do some keys, and I'm subgrouping all this stuff here, okay? And then we'll do instrument effects, okay? So that'll do for now, okay? So now I'm feeding all of these up in here. Okay, now as we talk about vocals, let's do the same thing with vocals. We're doing lead vocals. We're doing stacked vocals or stacks. And let's do vocal effects. Okay, so these are just left open right now for us to use later. So we're going to build this as we go, okay? So we have the bus paths built, okay, but we don't have the actual buses yet, so let's add those now. So this is what we did before. Let's add some new tracks now, and let's do those buses here. Aux input, that's what we use for a bus, and let's just go ahead and create them here, and I'm going to create a stereo bus for mix, and I'm going to do all caps again. I'm going to do a stereo bus for the instruments or the instrumental, and then I'm going to create a stereo bus for, and there's shortcuts for this. I would learn them. I haven't, because I have all these set up already. So I just import this as a whole, and I want to create this for you as we go. Okay, so we've got an instrument bus, we've got vocals. Okay, now we're going to start creating those sub buses. Okay, so we did a bus of and now all we have to do is assign these inputs the buses that we created, okay? So there's the mix, the instrumental, the vocals. Okay, now these vocal effects are different than the reverb returns, okay? These are one fader that's going to control all of your effects returns, and I'll show you why we do that later. Okay, the next thing we want to do is we want to save these because we don't want these to mute when we solo these because that will kill these mixes. You want these to be free of being soloed. So I'm going to hold Command and we're going to solo save all of these. Now, basically, what we have is a summing mixer. We've built a summing mixer, basically, right? But the advantage of doing it this way over the summing mixer is that we're able to tap. Think of these like of spigots of sound coming through, and we're able to tap off of here and send it somewhere else, okay? So this makes it easy to mix. So the next thing we're going to do is go back to the drums. We're going to highlight all the drums, and we're going to assign them to the drum bus here, okay? So I'm going to highlight everything and I'm going to hold Shift Option while I assign this to drums. If you notice, everything that I had highlighted goes to drums. So now we have all of these drums going through this channel here. Okay, so now we can just mute this and all the drums are muted, but it gets better. So I'm going to go ahead and assign everything over here the way I would. Now we'll do piano and keys, and we'll assign that to the keys bus. These vocals, 1 through 4, those are the lead vocals, what I call the lead vocals. Now you can divide these up, whatever how it makes sense to you. So I'm going to do lead vocals, and then these stacks, I'm going to select those, and we'll assign all of those to the stacks. Okay. Now, let's do drum verb and key verb and guitar verb. Those are all going to be instrument verbs. Okay, now these are things that are already set up. These would have verbs set up. And as a matter of fact, let's go ahead and set these up here. Let's go ahead and assign these so that they have inputs. Now, here's another trick. They're not assigned to anything right now. So I'm going to hold Shift Option Command, and I'm going to assign them to the, let's just say bus 1. And what this is going to do if I hold Shift Option Command is it's going to give them sequential numbers here. So if I hit, they're all selected, and I select bus 1, if you notice it goes bus 1, bus 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, now at this point I can actually right click on these and I can actually rename them from here. So I'm going to call this drum verb. That's the drum verb send. And then the only thing is you can't just hit a key selector and go to the next bus. You have to actually manually do this on each bus. So we'll call this keys verb. We have all of these, everything assigned here. Now, just imagine these would have, let's go ahead and put a verb on this just so that we can kind of see what's going on. I'm going to option click over here, and that way we can see exactly that these are verbs, okay? And for instance, like if the snare wanted some verb on it, you'd go to the effects send and you would go to drum verb. And I would highly recommend renaming all of these verbs because, as you see, you don't have to go, what was it, aux 1, 2? You actually just go here and you assign it to that. So this makes it a lot easier. So we've got our mixing template started here. We've got all of the tracks, the audio tracks assigned to where they should go over here, okay? Now, what I want to do here on the drum verb is I want to send the drum verb, and you'll understand why I'm doing this a little later. I want to do the drum verb and I want to send it to the drums. I want to take the keys verb and I want to send it to the keys. Now, it's real important that you name these things as clearly as you can. I have shortcuts where I'll name things with a dash in front of them so that I can visually see that that's what that is. Or often I will name it vocal bus or vocal verb. That way I'll know exactly where things are going and I don't get a feedback loop unknowingly. Now, again, I know this looks complicated, but this is actually something that's going to save you tons of time in the future if you'll put your mind to this and be able to do this one time and then tweak it as you go. And every mix will improve as a result of you doing this. So hang with me, okay? I want to pull the verbs over to the left-hand side to where they're more where they normally would be for me, okay? And I want to recolor these so that they're easier to see. These drum verbs, these buses will be green, and the reverb returns will be yellow. I'm just picking them randomly. I won't worry about doing these instruments because we're not going to spend a ton of time here just yet. Okay, so now with it set up this way, now you can mute the drums just by doing this, or you can add parallel compression just by adding some dynamics and messing with the wet-dry signal. It's easier to navigate your mix this way. And that way, when you're doing a mix revision and somebody says, hey, can we turn the drums up 1 dB? Then all you have to do is basically do the compensation here on this drum channel. Now, if we're going to take it another step, another thing that we can do is set it up to where we can print mixes from here, okay? There's one other thing I want to do here. We set up these mix and instrument buses, okay? And vocals. So what I want to do is take the buses and assign them in. So we're further creating this funnel of sound to where the very bottom of the funnel is the master mix. The top of the funnel is here. So we're sending the kick and snare and all the toms through the drums bus, and then we're sending the drums bus to the instrument mix, okay? This will make sense a little later. Guitars are also going to be instrument mix. So let's take all of these things right here and send them to the instrument mix, okay? So now you've got all the instruments, and let's just for fun, let's take these. And then let's take this instrument mix here. Let's color them the same so we can see what those are. So we'll take these. Now we can see that these drums, guitars, everything is going out of the instrument into this one. And then this is going to the final mix. So everything's going to this mix bus here, okay? Now, same with the vocals. Let's take the vocals. Let's change those to another color too. Let's make those blue. Okay, so now let's take the vocals and I'm going to assign those to the vocals. Okay, so vocals, and this goes to the mix. I know this looks complicated, but I promise you, this is worth the problem of putting your mind around. So now we've got your lead vocals, your stacked vocals, and your effects going to the vocal bus. The vocal bus is going to the mix bus. And this is where your mix happens here, okay? Sometimes I don't even use a master mix just because I do everything through busing for several reasons. Because there's things that you're limited, like you can't send from a master mix, a master bus, but you can from this. Okay, so now we were able to do a mix where we can mute the drums, we can mute all the instruments. In one swoop, we can go to the left-hand side and we can say, what do the vocals sound like? Let's mute the instruments. and vice versa. Or you can say, and then here's what I'll do usually. I do my mix bus processing here on the mix and instrumental. That way I'm doing them separately, and whether or not I mute the instruments or the mix, it doesn't affect how the compressor, the bus compressor, is working, because they're independent of each other. Okay, and then in the next video, next week, I'm going to show you how you can take this and build something even more, to where you can print multiple buses or multiple mixes at the same time. So next week, I'm going to show you how you can print a vocal stem, a guitar stem, a drum stem, an instrumental stem, all in one pass. Okay, so if you've liked this video, if you think this is helpful and you can see the benefit of this, click the thumbs up button for me. Like this video. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see the mix tutorial for next week, where I'm going to be actually showing you, we're going to be building on this mix bus. And I'll show you how you can actually print different stems at the same time. But you have to build on this building block, okay? And next week I'm going to have a download for you. But for now, if you want some more mixing tips, go to mixcoach.com/checklist, where you can download my 7-step mixing checklist. And there's bonuses in there. You won't regret going to that. So mixcoach.com/checklist to get some really cool stuff from me, okay? And I'll see you next week.